are you floundering in your home? Not really sure what's next or what to do next? Are you kind of hoping for maybe some sort of routine or schedule to evolve? Well, Sonia has some good tips. What is the difference, Sonia, between a schedule and a routine?
Well, let me first say I can really relate to that feeling you just described, that we all crave some kind of routine or schedule, because knowing what's going to happen next is just such a calming effect. And I think a lot of the time, a lot of the stress that we are feeling in these days is because our usual routines and schedules have just been upended. So either we are constantly trying to decide, what do we do next and what do we do now and when are we going to get to that, or we might run to the other extreme and say, okay, here's our new schedule and here is how it's going to go, and be a drill sergeant. So if we can find a happy medium, I think that would be great. And as you mentioned, a lot of that has to do with the difference between a schedule and a routine. Usually, a schedule is tied to a clock. And so we have it written out. We know that exactly at 8:02 we are going to walk the dog or whatever it is. And then
8:02, wow.
It's an early dog. He wakes up
I
early.
guess
What can we say?
Yeah. Very routine dog.
And then at 10:25 we are going to, play this game together as a family, or whatever your schedule is. So many of our lives before this all occurred, a lot of our lives were run on a schedule. We had to be out the door at a certain time. When the kids were in a classroom, their whole day was run by the clock. And when you take that away, you have this real sense of floundering, as you mentioned. But maybe a schedule tied to a clock is not going to be the best fit for your family at home. Maybe a routine would work better. And you can decide which is going to work better. A routine is, we know the events that are going to happen, and we know the order in which they're going to happen, but they're not tied to a clock. So maybe with a schedule, let's say, we would say we are going to eat breakfast at 8:00, and then at 8:25 I want everybody working on their chores, and then at 9:00 we're all going to meet again in the living room to start doing schoolwork, or whatever it is that is next. But if you do it as a routine, it's going to be, okay, we're going to have breakfast together when it's ready. I'll let you all know, and we'll all have breakfast. I don't care what time it says on the clock. We're just going to eat breakfast.
Listen, if it's 5 p.m. and it's the first meal of the day, we're still calling it breakfast.
That's right. Absolutely. We have freedom. So we're going to do breakfast, and then we're going to do chores. And then after that, we're going to gather and do our work, or whatever it is we have next. So having a routine, you know what's going to happen next. So you don't have all that effort of, well, what do we do now? We know what's going to happen after this and after this, but we also have flexibility within that structure, so that maybe breakfast is only going to last 10 minutes today. Maybe we're doing cereal, it's just quick and easy. We're doing cereal, we're done. And so it's only going to last 10 minutes. That's fine. Then we can move on to the next thing. Maybe we've got extra chores to do today, and the chores are going to take longer than they did yesterday. That's fine. When we're done with the chores, we're going to do the next thing. It's kind of, I'll tell you what, Heather, it's the difference between my husband and me. That's it.
True confessions coming here.
No, just 35 years of marriage. We finally figured this out. He is very much what I call event driven. And he knows we're going to do this. And when we're done with it, then let's do this. And the way I'm wired naturally is very much schedule driven by the clock. it needs to be this, and then at this time we do this. And why aren't we doing this? Because it is this time on the clock. And
Mm.
so we had to work that out together over the years.
What I'm hearing, Sonia, is the grace for failure that you, let me try again. So what I'm hearing, Sonia, is when you have a routine, you're not tied to the clock, and therefore when it hits 8:02 and you're not having breakfast, you don't have that overwhelming sense of failure. You just know breakfast is coming and it's coming next. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Exactly. You are not starting the day feeling like you're behind already.
Mm.
So often as we go through the day, if we are driven by the clock, we constantly feel like we're playing catch up. And
Mm-hmm.
that just adds even more stress to us. And when we feel so stressed out about time like that, it's so easy for us to focus on the wrong thing. We
Mm.
focus on the clock instead of focusing on the family.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And we miss golden opportunities to
Mm.
have a discussion with our children or a teachable moment because we feel like we have to catch up all the time. So
Mm-hmm.
in some situations, the schedule by the clock is a necessity and can even be a good thing and works well. But I guess I'm just saying, don't let the clock become your master.
Mm-hmm.
If it works better to just have a routine, then have that more flexible structure of a routine. By all means, figure out what you're going to do and the order in which you're going to do it, so you don't have to make those decisions all day long. That's
Yes.
going to wear you down.
Mm-hmm.
But don't tie it to a clock if you don't have to. That way you don't feel like you're behind and you can focus where you should.
I love the grace and the predictability that's mixed in that routine idea. My children ask me every night and every morning, "What's the plan today, Mom?" And if I have no answer, that's not a good setup for the day. They feel insecure. But also, if
Yes.
we have an answer that's tied to the clock, then we're all going to be struggling with fighting to keep up with that. So I love the tone that creates in the home. There's predictability, but grace. That sounds really relaxing and comforting at the same time. Thank you, Sonia.